Welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays talk about and review their favorite Star Wars content while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and I have actually had a little bit of, well, I won't say time necessarily. I will say having crash out and was playing Star Wars Outlaws finally. I haven't touched it since April, since before we went to Japan. And I picked it up over the weekend because I'm kind of determined I want to finish sort of the main story of it because I still haven't finished that. And I'm running around in Star Wars Outlaws over the weekend trying to get away from all of my problems by going to a galaxy far, far away. And wouldn't you know it, Bradley, I found a Glove of Darth Vader reference.
In Outlaws?
In Star Wars Outlaws.
Okay.
There is a random vendor on Tatooine. And you can walk up to them and you can basically accuse them. Well, you don't get to choose to. Kay will accuse them of peddling fake potions, right? Sure. But the line she says is, that's just Zoochberry juice with dye. And I went, I just heard the word Zoochberry because I just read one of the Jedi Prince books. And so I went and checked, and Zoochberry does originate in the Glove of Darth Vader.
Looky there.
And they are mentioned in Star Wars Outlaws. There is a Glove of Darth Vader reference in Star Wars Outlaws.
You know,
that was my story I had to share with you on the podcast today, is I thought I was getting away from Legends back into canon. Sure. And no, I cannot escape.
To be a creative that's making something Star Wars now and to have the free will to be like, let me go in the archives and see what they've used or what they haven't used.
This is Kevin Scott's whole fucking deal. He will pull shit from the 77 comic run. He will pull shit from like the Weird Al and Moore stuff and throw it in there. Like, he will just grab things from the 80s and shove them in randomly his stories. Pablo Hidalgo also will do this, but Kevin Scott loves the weird stuff. I've been struggling since I started playing to put my feelings into words about Star Wars Outlaws. And I saw a post on Reddit that actually finally put into words what I feel about the game. Star Wars Outlaws is an incredibly mediocre game while also being maybe the best Star Wars gaming experience. Like, the gameplay itself is the bog standard Ubisoft game. If you've played a Ubisoft game, you've played this. But the world that they've crafted for you to inhabit is like incredible. It's absolutely incredible what they've done with it. So maybe when I finish, and maybe if you get it for the Switch too, then we can do an episode on Star Wars Outlaws. But we have to do an episode on something that's not Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah.
Don't we, Bradley?
Yeah, what the fuck are we talking about today?
What the fuck are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about now the next two books in this series of the Jedi Prince. The first episode, we talked about the Glove of Darth Vader and the Lost City of the Jedi. And this week, we're going to talk about Zorba the Hutt's Revenge and Mission from Mount Yoda. Yeah.
Quick recap. If you've forgotten from last week, very quickly recap what's going on here. Bradley is in Hawaii doing his job. I am in California doing Legacy Expo. Both of us are losing our minds. We have decided to read some children's books. These are children's books from 1992 to 1993. They are intended for 8-year-old boys. They are utterly ridiculous. And also, if you were a child and a Star Wars fan in the 90s, you almost certainly ran across these books. Bradley, you were telling me off mic that some people like told you, or you were seeing comments of people being like, I remember these books from when I was a kid.
Exactly. I think we're bringing back people's memories, unfortunately, and that we're damaging people.
We're bringing up all that old trauma. Yeah, yes. These are books from like the very beginning of what we would consider to be the EU. So prior to this, prior to 1991, when Heir to the Empire came out, sort of the expanded universe, quote unquote, was Marvel making shit up as it went along, and Splinter of the Mind's Eye and a couple of other things, but all of it was very one-off. Heir to the Empire comes out, and then they start just writing more books because Heir to the Empire made them a fuckload of money. And these were some of the first books for kids that were meant to kind of capitalize on this new surgence of Star Wars publishing. It's not a resurgence. It's called the Star Wars Renaissance, but it's really like the first time that publishing became a huge deal. We are in the second block of 2 books in the series where the plot is continuing to plot. And the plot is, Bradley just rolled his eyes up into the back of his head. And if you want to see what it looks like when Bradley rolls his eyes straight up into the back of his head, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Gold Squadron Gaze. For $3 a month, you can get access to our co-pilot tier, which gives you basically unedited video versions of these episodes. You might not be seeing Bradley roll his eyes up into the back of his head because there's some weirdness with the zoom settings, but you're definitely seeing my face as I'm explaining this to you.
And we got another co-pilot yesterday.
Woo!
Yep.
Welcome.
Chris from Dark Side Divas.
Oh, hello, Chris. Welcome. Can't imagine why you'd want to hear more of my voice, but nah, I just kidding.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know
Chris.
why he would want
to
know more about us, but whatever.
Probably wants to make sure I'm not talking shit about him, which, I mean, I wasn't, but I am now. Shout out to Darkside Divas and Holodeck Divas. 2 fucking amazing shows. I am in the 3rd season of TNG right now. This is the shows that got me into Star Trek, and Darkside Divas just passed 200 episodes. They just did Spaceballs for their 200th episode, which means I get to rewatch Spaceballs. Nice. That movie fucking rules. But we can't talk about that movie. We have to talk about these books.
Yes,
we have to talk about the books that the movie was making fun of.
What are we talking about first? Let's go with the first one.
Yeah, we've also switched roles. So if you didn't join us last week, I will be very briefly recapping the plot, such as it is of the book, and then Bradley took notes, because I've read these books before, and Bradley has not up to this point. Book 3, Zorba the Hutt's Revenge. I read it like a week ago, so I'm going to do my best to try to remember the order of events, because this is also the point in the series where the main plot of the book and the overarching plot of the series start to diverge at points. So you have random scenes that are meant to set up other things happening later on that, like, just kind of randomly are inserted in there. So Luke and his new little ward, Ken, who, if you remember, he took from the lost city of the Jedi back in the last book, have gone to Tatooine to buy a housewarming gift for Han Solo, who, if you remember, is building his Mojo Dojo Casa dream house in Bespin. And so they find basically a cleaning droid named Kate. Meanwhile, Zorba the Hutt, who is Jabba the Hutt's father, returns to Tatooine and tries to get into Jabba's palace and is told, yeah, we don't allow Hutts in the palace anymore. So he storms into a cantina and is like, somebody fucking tell me what happened. And our bestie, Grand Moff Hissa, the power behind the throne that is Trioculus, is just there for some reason. And he's like, oh my god, bestie! Didn't you hear the tea? Leia fucking murdered your son. And Zorba's like, oh my god, I want her fucking dead. Meanwhile, everybody goes to Cloud City so they can go to Han Solo's housewarming party. So everybody's there. Leia and Han get into an argument. Meanwhile, Lando, who's not actually at the housewarming party, through a series of circumstances, winds up gambling in a Sabbat game with Zorba the Hutt and loses Cloud City randomly to Zorba. So now Zorba is in charge of Cloud City. Also, I forgot to mention that Cloud City is having problems. Do you remember the last episode when we made Bradley guess what the environmentalism message of the day was going to be in this one? And he guessed air pollution. Amazing news. He was right, because the Empire has like a factory crawler or something down on the surface, and it's belching shit into the air, and now it's getting really hard to see. So air pollution is bad, is the environmental message of the day here. So anyway, Lando is like, fucks off. He's going to go build theme parks or something. And Trioculus, he shows up, and the important part is that he's still really horny for Leia. Kate, who's the housekeeping droid, falls off the side of the building, and Luke and Leia go after her. At the same time, Ken, who knows how to fly air speeders randomly just because he's a special boy who did a whole bunch of reading at the library, takes off on one of Han's air speeders, and he gets himself captured by the Empire. Leia somehow also gets captured when they go down to rescue Kate. Long story short, they break Leia out, they break Ken out. Trioculus and Zorba get into an argument because they're sort of allies at first, but then Trioculus, who wants to marry Leia, Zorba tells him, hand Leia over to me so I can fucking kill her. Trioculus is like, go fuck yourself. The negotiations break down, and Zorba freezes Trioculus in carbonite. Ken gets rescued, Leia gets rescued in the Millennium Falcon, and they all take off because they're going to go to the Rebel Alliance base. And Han is like, oh, damn, maybe I do want to get married to Princess Leia. And that's the end of Zorba the Hutt's revenge. All of that was like 30 fucking pages, guys. I cannot stress this enough, how overcomplicated these books are. I have cut whole scenes out of this description.
And I'll give you an early spoiler alert. This is my favorite book so far. Just for the sheer utter ridiculousness of
Low-key,
it.
Zorba kind of makes this whole series work the
No,
minute
for
he
sure.
gets introduced, because the way they write him, the authors of this book are having so much fun with this character because he's ridiculous. He's just a delight to read every time he's on the page.
You know, I feel like I don't know if this was genuinely what this was based on, but I feel like Zorba the Hutt was like the blueprint for what they later use in Clone Wars
Zero.
for Zero. I feel like I was getting
Zero's
Zero
based
vibes.
on Truman Capote.
That makes so much sense now. Okay.
But I think Zorba is pulling from that same old gangster,
Old gangster
kind of
vibes. Yeah.
old gangster, but reinterpreted for kids vibe.
Sure.
Which the thing about Zorba that gets me is the sheer fucking audacity of this slug. Every time he walks into a room or squelches his way into a room, he immediately just assumes he owns the room.
Which justifiably by the end of the book he does.
He does, in fact, wind. Oh, I forgot to mention, he does blow up the factory and he thinks barge. That's how they solve the environmentalism crisis of the day.
Right.
He blows it up and he thinks Leia's in it. So he does think Leia is dead by the end of the book. The whole point of them fucking off to a different planet is they're going to go into hiding because the Empire really wants Ken and Zorba really wants to kill Princess Leia and thinks he's killed Princess.
So yeah, this was clearly the best book so far. Yeah, honestly, we just need to get started on my notes because this is gonna. Okay. I feel like if we don't, it'll take too long.
Let's go.
Okay,
chapter 1. The fucking plot summaries take 10 minutes.
No, I know. That's the part of the funniness of it, as you're just like making it up or trying to remember it as you go is really funny, actually.
I'm trying to remember these books as I go along.
The fact that you can even remotely get it right is really hilarious. Chapter 1, I said, housewarming party, sure. Okay. Not really a genre I would find in Star Wars or just this kind of party. Like we've always seen like a generic party or like a casino vibe or whatever. Like it's never been like a let's have a birthday party, let's have a housewarming party, let's whatever. I've never seen that.
Ever since they introduced Ken in Lost City of the Jedi, something they do that's actually really fascinating with the scenarios they set up in these books. A lot of the scenarios that Ken is personally involved in are scenarios that a child living in the suburbs would be familiar with.
I was going to literally just say like very domesticated stories. Like
they're just very suburbia.
Yes, very suburbia.
It's very Skeleton Crew.
Oh yes. You know what?
It's very Skeleton Crew.
Okay, now that you said that, I can look at Ken in a different light now because before I was looking at it too much like a self-insert for 9-year-old little boys who are reading these books, which to be fair, is the exact thing they were going for.
Yes, that is exactly what this is. He is a self-insert for the 9-year-old boys who are reading this book to project onto being slightly older.
Yes, and being like, I'm in that book too. But I want to look at it more now as he's Skeleton Crew vibes. He is just a kid who has just grown up in this type of environment. Therefore, he just brings it out of that in Star Wars. So I'm gonna look at it more like that moving forward, and hopefully that'll change my perception of Ken. Because right now, Ken's a little fucking know-it-all. That was my other note.
Oh
As
my
he's
God.
such a fucking little bitch.
Every single fucking time Ken gets in a situation, he'll be like, well, I remember reading at the library
Uh,
this thing. This kid can just do shit
yes.
with absolutely no like formal training
No.
on any of it. He just knows stuff. He just is besties with all the canon characters. Yeah, Ken's a little bit of a little bit of a, I don't want to say Mary Sue because that's a very gendered term, but also Gary Stu has a different connotation. It's weird the space that Ken kind of occupies.
Yeah.
He has like the way he is in the story, because he is such a self-insert for kids, is he just kind of fulfills the fantasy of magically knowing stuff, and they kind of hand wave it away as, well, I read it at the library, which I get is like encouraging kids to go to the library, sure, whatever. This is one of those things where the books being intended for 9-year-old boys and being read currently for this podcast by adult men in their 30s kind of come into conflict with each other. Because
Right.
for me, I'm like, oh my fucking God, of course you know how to pilot the thing because you read about it in a book.
Right.
It's reading fucking Rainbow.
No, it really is. And it's like I love the message though. Like, if you want to be like Ken and you want to be a cool Jedi person, read a book. Like, fine, whatever.
Not
Um
this book, but read a book.
read a book, right?
Actually,
Uh
no. In 1992, you did not have a lot of other options
right.
for Star Wars books if you were a kid, because Heir to the Empire was not written with kids in mind.
My only other thing for this bit was he's like, "Hey, what would you get? What's the perfect gift for a bachelor?" And it's obviously a maid droid. And then Ken says something along the lines of like, "Oh, it's just a robot. Like, who cares?" Chip was like, "What the fuck? You were raised by droids, you little bastard!" Like, he's literally like, he's so
Ken is
pissed. He's
such a
like,
fucking dick.
he's like speciesist against droids or whatever it's called, and it is just so funny because I just can't believe that they would do that.
The way that he is so like awful to droids is so funny. And Chip is just there like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, he's like, my best friend is talking shit about me and my species. Like,
Skynet would fucking kill Ken.
uh, I'm surprised that he's
Skynet
basically, is
would be
that not
like,
where he lives? Like, basically, so it
he
just does,
fucking lives in Skynet. And
yeah.
yeah, it's weird. He grew up around all these droids and he's like,
You think he'd be
oh,
nicer
these
to
droids
them?
are so annoying. You'd think it would be nicer than no, this kid's such a fucking asshole to all of, especially to Chip. I'm like, dude, what did Chip ever do to you? All this fucking droid does is whatever you want.
Right, he's literally made to be your
He
best friend.
follows you around, unequivocally supports you in
Hmm.
whatever you do. The one time he told you, like, dude, you shouldn't go to the surface,
That was it. That
like,
that
he
was
was
the straw
right
that broke the camel's
for you
back.
not to do that. Oh,
Anyway,
God. Kid's such a
um,
little shit.
he is, and I hate him so much. Chapter 2, all I had was Jabba the Hutt has a fucking dad.
He does.
That's it. That's all I said.
He does.
Hilarious. I love that they chose father instead of like his brother or like cousin or something. I for some reason father was just an interesting choice. I don't know. Maybe just because Star Wars loves to do father son
Star
storyline.
Wars loves
Yeah.
dads, and also,
Yeah.
like, he's basically just Jabba the Hutt again.
Yeah, they're like we need literally Jabba, but
We need
like
Jabba the Hutt
he's dead,
again.
so
Because they don't have much to work with.
Right, right, right.
Like, they don't. We just found out what a hut looks like 8 years ago.
Right. And so they all look the same. They're all like that.
Yep.
Love.
That we don't
Um,
have any other. We don't even know that female huts exist yet. We
oh, we
haven't
know.
had Phantom Menace.
Interesting. Oh, and I guess because if we don't know that, then theoretically, if we just know about his dad, then as far as we
Well, so
know, yeah,
in canon, huts do reproduce
I
asexually.
was just about to say that. Like, I guess it doesn't, yeah, we don't know. That's
We don't
crazy.
need to get into hut reproduction.
No, we don't.
Nope. There's just weird hut biology happening.
Weird how biology going on.
I love that Hiss is just here. Which, if you don't remember from the last episode, Grand Moff Hissa is the second in command to Triaculus. He is noted for being bald and having sharp teeth and being gay and doing drama.
Just being
Like,
gay and evil.
all of the time. He is my favorite character in these books, rereading them.
I do love that he's just randomly here, but I guess there's no reason. They're just like, well, exposition. He has to be here. So
No, he just has to be here. Don't think about it.
Chapter 3, I just said a housewarming party. Let's see. Leia's jealous of a stereotypical droid. Ken is still an
Oh
annoying
my
know-all.
god, the underlying no, I mentioned it when I did my recap,
Yeah,
but
this is when we can talk about the droid.
good lord, the underlying like sexism in this book
Mm-hmm.
is like wild to read. I mentioned in the previous episode that there's some rather unfortunate language that is used.
Right.
Probably the worst offender is the quote unquote opening crawl of this book, which just straight up uses a really insulting term as the name of an alien that I'm not going to say on the podcast. I read that and I was like, holy fucking shit. And then you have this bit where Leia's like jealous. First of all, the fact that all of the droids thus far have been male like presenting,
Right.
and the only female presenting droid that we have met thus far in the story is the fucking housekeeper.
Right. Of course, she's a maid droid.
Of course
Like...
she's a maid, and of course Han's on again off again girlfriend is going to be jealous of the only other woman in the plot of this book, because Mon Mothma is not here in this one. Kate is literally the only other female character. Obviously, Leia has to be jealous of her because women? Question mark.
Well, women are always jealous.
Women are they're always jealous. Women are always competing with each other. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely. So, when you can't have more than one woman in the plot, because then they'll just catfight over a man. She has two notable characteristics, which are she's really good at cleaning and she falls off the house.
Okay. So that's another. Well, that's like in another chapter. We'll have to get to it in a second. Oh, I guess I'll just talk about it now. So she falls over the fucking edge of the. I guess she just falls over the railing or some shit.
Yeah, she just falls off the side.
What? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Why would she do that? She's a fucking droid. She doesn't have like bad balance. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's like, okay, I'm just like outside looking at the sunset and I just fall over. Like, what the hell is wrong with these writers? Okay.
Well, because women are clumsy, Bradley. Because
I guess
this is
while
good old-fashioned 80s. This is good old-fashioned 80s era subtle sexism.
Subtle sexism. I live for it. In chapter 4, I said Zorba taking back his casino, playing Sabak Shocker, but also legally it's his casino, so I don't feel bad for Lando. Like, the government came in after Jabba died and was like, oh, we own the casino now because the fucking previous owner died, so we're going to take it over.
They do this to Jabba's palace too. They turn Jabba's palace into a retirement home.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't work out, so the government just kind of leaves it empty.
Right. I love that. I love that they're just like...
There's also a lot of weird libertarianism, quiet libertarianism going on here with it's like, oh, the government is coming in and seizing your property. Is like, okay. But also like, yeah, the government did seize the casino.
Right. And so, like, I don't feel bad for Lando because technically he is not the rightful owner. Zorba had a living will and or not a living will and testament, but just a will and testament of Jabba that is, I guess, verified somehow. And then they're like, this must be him, so it's not doctored in any way or whatever.
Oh, I totally forgot he fucking busts out Jabba's will and is like,
he's
like I leave everything to Zorba. No, what... Lando's a fucking idiot in this book.
Well, yeah.
Because he lets himself get goaded. Fine, give him the fucking casino. Like, the Holiday Towers or whatever the name of it is.
Yeah.
Like a hotel and casino.
The Holiday Inn in casino.
But the Holiday fucking Inn. Just give him the Holiday Inn. Give him the slot machines at the Holiday Inn and let him do his thing. But no, he has to somehow get dragged into this game for the fucking entire city. And then he loses because he gets tricked into playing with a rigged deck.
But
and
then he
just
he
fucks
like
off.
somehow, yeah, but somehow that he's able to be like, well, I guess I have to quit the government now because I lost a game of poker. Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, he's
Yep.
still quote an elected leader, I would assume.
Well,
So,
no, he won the administratorship in a game of sabacc.
oh, so only naturally would he
So only
lose.
naturally he has to lose it also in a game of
Yes.
sabacc.
Okay, I thought he was duly elected. I guess not.
He was not
So,
duly elected.
okay.
He has
Again, I
won
still
this
feel less
position
bad.
in a game of sabacc.
Got it. I
Yes.
still don't feel bad for him. And
No, he's a
honestly, Zorba's
dumbass and
right.
he does this to himself.
Yeah.
You just
Oh,
unequivocally agree with whatever Zorba does.
oh, I do. I honestly do. The whole book, honestly, he's never wrong. Every single, he might be mean or he might be evil or whatever, but he like is definitely. Well, actually, I don't even think he's that evil. I think he's genuine. Like, think about it. He wrongfully, his property was taken away from him by the government because they did not do their due diligence in checking for Jabba's will and testament to see if he left his things to anybody. So Zorba owns all that stuff. So that's genuinely his to take back, rightfully so. And then he, yes, he does cheat in a game to win. However, according to like visually, everybody, it doesn't look like he cheated, right? Because only he can see the ultraviolet light or whatever it is on the cards or whatever it is. So yeah, maybe he's just a little shitty, but like he hasn't done anything wrong per se that like isn't justified. Other than that, I think playing the game is a little shitty, but other than that,
Bradley's side of things
yeah.
is now a Zorba the Hutt stan account.
Yeah, I think I might be. I think it's just
You might be a Zorba
it
the
might
Hutt
be.
stan.
Well, and then the second part of this is that he's fucking pissed at Leia for murdering his son. Granted, his son kept her as a sex slave or whatever the fuck. So, yeah, I would like justifiably she killed him. However, she also murdered him. So technically, also he's mad. Like you're allowed to be mad that someone murdered your son. Like even if your son was a piece of shit.
I mean, his reasons are definitely understandable.
Yes, I don't find any reason to like be like, oh, that wasn't a good reason. Like I'm like, okay, I guess technically you're right. So that's my take on Zorba the Hutt.
Your take on Zorba, that your very controversial opinion on the podcast is that you understand where Zorba's coming from.
Correct.
He has like for a villain in this series, he has an insane amount of depth to him. Like
Right.
way more than any of the other villains in the series, who are mostly just evil to be evil.
Evil to be evil, and he actually has
Zorba, I think that's
motivation.
what makes Zorba stands out, is he actually
Yeah,
has motivation for doing the
right.
things that he does.
Maybe that's why I like him so much because he genuinely does
And
have motivation.
his motivation outside of I want to kill this person who murdered my son and take back the things that I believe are my rightful property is I want to make tons of money.
That right.
Which is a completely understandable motivation.
You know what? Stan. I only had one random thing other than the droid falling over in chapter 5. My only thing for chapter 5 was one, of course, Trioculus's factory is fucking here because plot. And then my other thing was, of course, Leia got kidnapped because woman.
Yes,
So
obviously. That's what she does, Bradley. That's her purpose in the plot, is to be kidnapped so the
right.
men can rescue her.
All the women in this story are so problematic. One falls off a railing for no reason, and then the other one gets kidnapped because woman. So, and plot.
And they also
Great.
forgot, apparently, that in A New Hope, yeah, they get Leia out of the cell. She immediately has to take over the rescue because Han and Luke and Chewie have botched it.
Right.
And in this one, she just sort of has to get rescued by the other characters. These books were written in the early 90s, and you can tell.
You can tell. So chapter 6, I had a note about, of course, the cops are crooked because they're like, maybe we could like turn in him and get his reward. Yeah, let's sell this kid to the Empire and get a reward. That, and then also Trioculus saying, I love you to Leia is fucking wild.
Oh, I totally forgot about the fucking scene where they have a conversation.
They full on have a conversation. He's like, I love you.
And she slaps the shit out of him. Which I will say, for all my complaints about all the other Leia stuff in this book, where she gets jealous of Kate for no fucking reason,
right?
And where she gets kidnapped so that she can be rescued, the fact that this man comes onto her and her reaction is to start beating the shit out of him is extremely in character and also extremely correct.
Love. Okay, so chapter 7 is where I start to get a little. So Ken is captured And then I think he's talking to Zorba the Hutt or someone, and basically Zorba gives him candy. And then after a little bit of candy, Ken's like, "Oh, well, here's all this fucking exposition, and I can explain everything." And it's
Yep.
like, what the fuck, Ken? Like, just a little bit of candy, and you're spilling all the beans.
It's truth serum, Bradley, which has this is not the first appearance of like a truth serum like drug in Star Wars. It's A New Hope.
Got it.
That's what they inject the droid injects Leia with.
I,
It's a drug
that's
to
fine.
in that one it's a drug to kind of lower her inhibitions so that it can be tortured out of her. But in this, yeah, Zorba just gives him like truth serum candy. Is this where we find out that Ken is named after Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I think he mentions like he might be. Like
Because it
he says something about
yeah,
yeah, like he says like something about it in this one. I can't tell if it's in this or
a
if it's in the
Jedi in a brown robe brought him to the lost city of the Jedi. He thinks he's named after that Jedi
right.
who might have been Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is why his name is Ken.
Right. Yeah, I think this is the moment where he says that. I
I
can't
think
remember,
this is the
but
moment where he reveals that so much plot happens so quickly in these books.
no, and then literally I put down how does Ken know any of this? Is he just fucking God? Because he just like he just knows everything. And I'm just like, Ken, you are a fucking baby. How do you know any of this shit? Like the droids aren't gonna tell you shit. Like I don't know. Anyway,
DJ had a
so
specific point where he's like, I'm not telling you shit.
no,
He
it's
still
just
doesn't tell him. Well, so there's information Ken knows about Triclops, who is the real three-eyed
right. That's what I
Emperor's
mean.
son.
Yeah.
That is a piece of information that DJ does give to Ken. That's like the Emperor does actually have a son who has three eyes and exists.
Right.
Ken knows this information, but he is not telling it to the Rebel Alliance because
Right.
DJ, and that will come up in the next book.
It's the next book, right?
It's the next book that will come up. But remember, back in the last one, Ken was told that he does have information that, and I think he does reveal it to Zorba here.
In addition, he gets put back in the cell, and then Ken just all of a sudden knows Jedi mind tricks and is just able
Yeah.
to escape
So
prison.
Ken just randomly uses a Jedi mind trick
Yep.
to escape.
Love that.
Hmm.
Fun, I
Hmm.
guess.
What does this remind you of?
It reminds me of Ray.
It Ken is Ray if
Ken
Ray
is
was a
Ray.
12-year-old boy.
Yes. I see the
They're
parallels.
very similar
It's
characters.
it's getting very strong here, like overly powerful. All of a sudden, you're like, I wonder why they're overly powerful. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Which I will say, The Force Awakens does a decent job of explaining why Rey knows the things that she knows. This is part of the difference between the two characters.
Right.
With Ken, it fucking comes out of nowhere. It
It
legitimately
genuinely
comes out of
comes out of
nowhere.
right, exactly.
Like, they established Rey fucks around in old ships. That's how she knows how the Falcon works. She's also worked on it with Unkar Plutt. That's how she's able to know how the Falcon works. Ken just read it in a book. It's Reading Rainbow.
Right.
That's
Ray's never been to a
that,
library, so she wouldn't know how to read.
Ray, do you think Ray knows how to read?
Well, she gets the Jedi text at one point, so I guess that she
Well,
would read them.
yeah, I guess
She
she
probably
had to
learned how
have
to
read
read.
them.
I
Yeah,
would
I
assume
guess
she
she would have
learned
had to
how.
read at some point.
Yeah, she learned. She either she did it or BB-8 taught her how to read or R2D2 or
Somebody
whoever.
taught her
Yeah,
how to read
for
or
sure.
something. We know Ken fucking knows how to read because this motherfucker won't
He
shut
never
up
talks
about
about
it.
it.
Oh my god, we have to keep going.
I
We're
know. Okay, we'll just
40
move on to the
fucking
last
minutes
bit.
raw recording just for this one book. We have a whole nother book we have to get through.
Okay, this is the last chapter. I said Zorba the Hutt actually got his revenge, so great name of the book. And then I said Triaculus frozen in carbonite seems like a good end to me. That's it. The plot's over. The whole book series is done.
Plot's
You
over.
don't need to keep going. The villain is frozen in carbonite. The pseudo villain genuinely got what he wanted in the end. He thinks Leia's dead. He thinks, or he got rid of his adversary who would fuck him up in some capacity. And yeah, I think we're good. I think the story's over. Everybody can go home happy.
So book 4 of this series, Mission from Mount Yoda.
Yes, please give me your
Okay,
your full
none of this is going
description.
to be in the right order because this book is the most egregious offender of
Okay,
there's a bunch of shit that happens. It barely connects to each other.
got it.
Okay, so Troculus has been frozen in carbonite. Kadan, who is the head of the prophets of the dark side, is having this big ritual moment where he does his dark side prophecies that they're going to use their ISB spy network to make come true. And he basically says a couple of things. He says, one, I am revoking Trioculus' status as being in charge of the Empire because he's a dumbass. Two, there is this secret spirit thing or whatever that's going to be in charge of the Empire now. Doesn't fucking matter. The important thing is it's going to speak through me. I'm going to be the channeler of it, which effectively it puts him in charge of the Empire. He is staging a coup here. And he also says that, like, oh, there's a visitor of gold that's going, visitor pierced by gold that's going to come to Mount Yoda, and when that happens, the Rebel Alliance will fall. It's very ominous. Meanwhile, the Rebel Alliance, after Yavin 4 got fucked up in Book 2, have moved to Dagobah for some reason. They have moved to Mount Yoda, this giant mountain that's what they named it. Never mind, this contradicts the Thrawn trilogy, because in that, Luke had not told anybody about Yoda, but we don't have time for me to complain about that. And Ken is mad because they're going to make him go to school. They have Dagobah Tech, which is the school that all of the kids for the Rebel Alliance people that are there go to. And Luke's like, you got to fucking go to school. You're a 12-year-old boy. Like, go to school. You can't keep doing that. A Imperial ship crashes. It turns out to be a giant fucking red herring that doesn't matter. So everybody gathers because this visitor from the planet Duro has shown up. Destiny, I think, is the name of the guy. And he shows up on Mount Yoda, and he's like, oh my god, the Imperials are doing a colonialism. So now we're not doing an environmentalism message of the day. Now we're doing a colonialism message of the day. Because he's like, the Empire is forcing us to, like, gather up all of our archaeological artifacts and dig for them, but then give them to the Empire. And we're losing valuable cultural knowledge because it's being taken away by the Empire. Can you come help us? Also, he gets pierced by a booby trap crown, so that's the fucking prophecy for you there. Meanwhile, Hissa, Grand Moff Hissa, shows up to Kadan's space station and is like, hey, bestie, what the fuck? Also, they're delivering Trioculus, who is frozen in carbonite, to the station. And Hissa's like, hey, bestie, what the fuck? Trioculus is right there. You should thaw him out so he can be in charge of the Empire. And Kadan's like, no. Also, I don't know if I really need the Council of Grand Moffs. Like, I love this little deal that you have going with Trioculus, but actually, I think you're just going to do what I say. And his is like, girl, no, fuck yourself. Kadan's like, great. Here's your grinder history. Just one page of the messages that you've been sending people on Grindr. And one page of these messages is enough to bring Hissa down to his knees, pledging fealty to Kadan as the new head of the Empire. And Kadan's like, yeah, we have a whole file. We have your Grindr history, we have your Scruff history, we have your Sniffies history, we have all of it. So you're going to do what we say, and you're going to go on a secret mission with this other prophet of the dark side to Duro. So now everybody's headed to Duro. There's also a random scene in which Zorba the Hutt decides he wants to get into, like, prison labor exploitation. It has nothing to do with the rest of the book. It's just sort of there. Ken is supposed to go to school, but he's like, golly gee willikers, I need to go say goodbye to all of my friends before they go on this mission. So he goes onto the Falcon and through shenanigans gets locked in the closet. And the Falcon takes off and they're being pursued by Hissa. It's a whole thing. They find out Ken is there and Luke is pissed. And Ken is like, honestly, dude, like, I just got stuck in the closet. I just wanted to say goodbye. And Luke's like, fucking okay, dude, you're coming along with us on this one, but I'm going to be weirdly pissed off about this, even though it literally was not your fault. They all wind up on Duro, and the Rebel Alliance group, including Luke, Leia, Han, Ken, some other people, the people from the movies plus Ken, they run into... Oh, back up. Right before this, the Prophet of the Dark Side reveals to Hissa, only once they've gotten to the planet, the reason why they sent him to Duro. It is because Triclops, who's finally going to be relevant to this plot, has escaped from the facility that he was being held at. He was being held like a re-education facility. And he managed to, like, reprogram an assassin droid to get himself out, even though he's a pacifist or whatever. He's got these anti-imperial ideas. Meanwhile, the Rebel Alliance group actually meets Triclops. And there's this weird fucking scene where Triclops 1 is like, hey, Ken, that's an interesting necklace you've got on. What's that about? And Ken's like, I don't know. I've had it since I was a baby. And then Triclops goes on an extended thing where he waxes poetic about this Jedi woman that he was in love with. Pin in that. It is going to come up later. There is a reason I'm mentioning it, but it very is a non sequitur in the book itself. He just kind of waxes poetic in the middle of this cave about it. Long story short, everybody kind of meets up where the Duros archaeologists are mining the stuff. There's a big old fight that ensues. Also, somewhere in this, Kadan just fucking straight up death rays Trioculus in carbonite. So he fries the whole thing. Trioculus is dead now. He's just fucking dead. He's out of this plot. Back on Duro, everybody's having a big fight. The good guys win. They escape with the cultural artifacts. Hissa falls into fucking lava or something, and he gets all of his arms and legs burned off, but his torso and his head is fine. He's screaming for the prophet of the dark side to help him. The guy's like, no, actually go fuck yourself. They escape with the Duros archaeologists. They escape with the artifacts, and they all head back over to Mount Yoda. And they have Triclops with them now, who is like, I'm actually Emperor Palpatine's son, and I want to take over the Empire and dismantle it because I believe the Empire is evil and I am a pacifist. And that is the end of the book.
Yeah, this one's a little batshit.
This one, it goes all over the place.
This one's a little all over the place.
I promise you, I told several of those scenes out of order.
Honestly, I don't even know if you did. That's the crazy part because it sounded right. Like I was like, yeah, that kind of sounds like the order. Well, maybe my notes will help.
Maybe your notes will eliminate the actual plot order this was supposed to be in.
Okay, let's power through because this one hurts my brain.
Let's go. Mission from Mount Yoda.
Okay, so number one, we're talking about the scene with the prophets of the dark side. It starts off with them. I said, why would you title a book called Secrets of the Dark Side?
Oh yeah, they have like a book that they write the prophecies down in.
Right, called Secrets. So it's literally, the book is called Secrets of the Dark Side. So why would you title the book Secrets of the Dark Side if you don't want people to know what the secrets are? Like, anyway. That's
because I need you to understand, Bradley, that every single thing the prophets of the dark side do is for the vibe. These people are 100% committed to the vibe.
Speaking of the vibe, I literally wrote down, Kadan can't even rhyme his prophecies. There's literally a line in the book where it's like, he has prophecies, but they don't rhyme. Like, on purpose? Like, what? Like, make them fucking rhyme. Like, he's already making them up anyway, so, like,
are you going to question this guy? He's the fucking ISB. Like, he's the church and the ISB rolled up into one person.
I just don't understand why he couldn't take the time. If he's gonna, sit there and ask ChatGPT what the prophecies are, like, he might as well ask it to make them rhyme. You know what I mean? Like, anyway.
Not using ChatGPT to make prophecies.
It sounds like it sometimes, especially since they're out of, like, they make no sense sometimes. They don't rhyme. I think it was just the writers genuinely being like, ugh, do we actually have to make them rhyme? Like, that would be, like, really annoying to figure out.
Well, they managed to make the healer from book 2's fucking dialogue
That's what I'm saying. So why couldn't they make the fucking prophecies rhyme? Like, I don't know, or be in, like, prose or some kind of, like,
you,
thing.
Bradley.
I don't know. Anyway, or, like, a haiku of some shit. I don't know. Anyway, that was chapter 1. Chapter 2, I said, why would the fuck would they put both a rebel base and a school on Dagobah?
The rebel base makes no fucking sense. Them having a school, it kind of makes sense a little bit.
On Dagobah?
Well, the school goes where the base goes.
Oh, okay. Okay, whatever.
So the base is for...
It's still weird.
The school is for the kids of people that are working on the base.
Right.
So you join the Rebel Alliance, you bring your whole family with. You know how on film sets you have to have an on-set tutor?
Yep.
It's that. Except that they need to have everything relatable to 9-year-old boys.
Sure.
So they are going to do a standardized test in one scene.
I don't know. Do they have a football team? Do they have a mascot? Do they have, what else do they have? Clearly, Dagobah Tech. What is the mascot?
Do they have a marching band? Do they
yeah. Because that's the monsters we see on Dagobah in the movie are like snakes and iguanas or something.
Now watch. Because you have said that, someone will design a Dagobah Tech logo that is an iguana.
I went to Dagobah Tech I graduated from Dagobah Tech. I need this. I need a Letterman jacket that says Dagobah Tech, and I'm gonna get a letter on it that my specialty was like knowing everything. I guess
I
whatever.
would genuinely, I would unironically,
Buy a Dagobah Tech Letterman
unfucking
jacket.
ironically, wear a Dagobah Tech t-shirt around and let
Yeah,
people ask me about it so I could tell them about the Jedi Prince series.
this is just the first two
See,
chapters,
now
by the way.
this is the first two chapters. Now, Bradley, you have also been cursed with this knowledge. So
Yes.
by the end of this, you will also understand. There's a certain experience you have with reading some of the Legends books where, and some of them genuinely are like to this same level, both of being really good and also being really batshit,
Yeah.
where you're like, I have to get more people into Legends purely so you can see I'm not making this plot line up. This is real. This did happen.
It hurts my brain a little, but it's very funny and I quite enjoy it. I'm curious about people who are trying to like go back and I'm trying to put my mindset in the 90s of people who are trying to make all this make sense. And I think to them it does at the time.
We will talk in the finale episode
Okay.
about the canon status of the Jedi Prince within the context of Legends
Okay.
and how difficult that was.
Love it.
It was, I'm saving that for the end because, again, remember, these books were written right around the time the expanded universe was just starting to become a thing. Like the idea that we could have major events outside the movies that would reference each other
Right.
in different pieces of media, because the Marvel series did have ongoing storylines. And one of those storylines would actually become a major fucking relevant plot point in a later, like, big ticket legend series. But only now are we starting to reconcile with the idea that, hey, these books can reference each other.
Right.
These books and comics, they can reference what the
They're
other
not
one is doing.
standalone stories. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're not standalone stories. We can have, the Jedi Academy series referencing Courtship of Princess Leia and the Thrawn trilogy and the Dark Empire comics. We can do that now. We can build out this shared universe. This is the period of time where that sort of genesis-ing, and I do argue that that really, like the expanded universe as we know it, really would come together in 1999, but that's a whole nother argument. Very quickly after this, it was these books and comics and games and stuff were going to start referencing each other, and Jedi Prince was going to be.
Speaking of problems, chapter 3, damn, what did Hissa do that the other gay black mailed him with?
I don't know. It's so I described it as he showed him his grinder history.
Yeah.
The way the scene plays out in the book is his is like, go fuck yourselves. They're like, we have a whole big stack of files on you. Here's
Right.
one page. Hissa falls to his knees, is like, no, how do you know this?
Yeah.
And they're like, we know everything. And he's like, I swear allegiance to the prophets of the dark side. And the whole time I'm thinking, these are the messages he's sending to people at 3 a.m. on Grinder.
I like how that's where
I
your brain
can't
went.
unthink of this because I've decided that Hissa is this fabulous, like, gay villain.
Yeah.
It has to be his Grinder history now.
See, I thought of it more like they showed him a picture of himself dressed as like a maid, and it was like he likes to just wear like a maid outfit, like sometimes, like he likes to clean his apartment in like a maid outfit and like
Oh
just
my
feel
God.
pretty or whatever. Like I don't know why. I just that's where my brain went, and I was like, and he was
I
just like
think
so embarrassed.
I think that's what they were like implying is like, oh, he has these horrible secrets. He's done these horrible things
Yeah, yeah.
for the Empire, but it's so ridiculous that
I
it's
can't.
like, I can't with
Okay.
these books.
Chapter 4. I want to talk about the Duros for a second. Dustini.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Love that name. Random. It just doesn't. I don't know. Star Wars. It wasn't Star Wars enough for me. I was like, what the hell is Dustini? But whatever. Let's see.
Buddy, I gotta
Collector.
tell you that they had not. The droid in the last book's name was Kate,
Yeah, I know. That
and like also Ken is named Ken.
right. I can't.
He's
Um,
just Ken.
Also, I love how they the Duros or whatever conveniently recorded a message just in case
Oh
something
yeah,
happens.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Why wouldn't he? The
Right.
plot has to continue.
The plot has to continue. Here's a recorded message of what needs to happen for the rest of the plot in case I die or something happens to me or become incapacitated in some way.
Sure.
Love that. Chapter 5. instead of coming up with a dumb way to get Ken to go to Duros, why not just bring him along? It's not his fault that he got stuck back there, but also it's such a ridiculous conceived plot. Like you could have skipped this whole chapter by just saying, "Okay, come with us." Like why do we have to make him go to school?
I don't know, man. Cause
Anyway,
cause it's a common kid thing to be like, I want to go on adventures, but I have to go to school. Oops, I accidentally go on the this is the plot of Skeleton Crew.
yeah,
This is literally what happens in episode 1 of Skeleton Crew.
right.
Wim doesn't want to go to school, which is so funny because they keep establishing like they can't decide quite what Ken's character is,
Right.
whether he would rather go on adventures or rather whether he would rather read shit. It feels like they're coming down on the side of he would much rather go on adventures. But the thing is, they keep referencing how much shit he's actually read. So it's a little confusing what his motivation is.
Chapter 6, I said, damn, they just killed Triaculus like that.
Yep,
Just up and kill him.
just
That's
wasted
it.
him.
Plot's over. That's even worse than them freezing him in carbonite. I thought the plot could have been over with them doing that and been like, okay, he's not a problem anymore. And now it's literally like, no, damn, he's fucking dead. Like
Nope,
he's
they just
gone.
zapped him.
Amazing. The next part, R2D2 Ex Machina fixing the glitched message all of a sudden just because for
A
exposition, I
lot of the
guess.
plots of these books are just because.
Just
Like, you
because.
need to accept that with these books, Bradley, that a lot of what happens just because.
Just because. None of it's ever explained. And then finally for this chapter, I said, damn, Ken invoking the Kenobi name just to guilt trip Luke.
Oh, this might be where we find out that he's named for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I don't know, maybe, but he's like, he literally says something along the lines of, well, Obi-Wan Kenobi would have wanted you to do XYZ or some bullshit. And then Luke's like, damn, that's the only thing that can make me do what you want, Ken, is by always invoking his name or something. Like, I mean, he's just, I don't understand Luke. He just do it. Like, who cares? Like, he's your
It's
ward or your
so
friend or
funny.
whatever.
So it's so funny to read Luke in these books because he's so often portrayed around this time period, even still, as like very out of his depth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like he doesn't really become Luke Skywalker Jedi Master until after the Thrawn trilogy. So it's interesting to read this in the broader context of like how he's written between like prior to that point. And even like there are weird moments like in Courtship of Princess Leia, he does this, in Teresa Bakura, he also does this, I'm pretty sure, where he'll randomly lecture people on how they're wrong about the Force because they're not
Right.
doing exactly how the Jedi are doing it. The Luke is portrayed in this book is basically like randomly saddled with this kid and doesn't know what to do with him.
Right. He's like all of a sudden a dad.
He's all of a sudden, well, he's almost like he's more of an older brother figure
Older brother.
in
Okay,
this.
fine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's like the older cousin at the family function that gets stuck with the like
The younger
babysitting
kids.
duty,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he doesn't really know what's going on.
I can't. Okay, so chapter 7, I said Triclops seems like a weird dude, but I like him. And then I said also Kendalina, you've got to be kidding me. So I
I'm
guess
just gonna sip my water.
I guess
I'm gonna
Triclops
be
is
silent.
he's talking I guess he's talking about I can't I honestly don't even remember. He's either talking about the Jedi that dropped Ken off or someone he knew named Kendalina in the past.
It's
And I'm
someone
like,
he knew named Kendalina
okay,
in the past that he has this extended tangent about,
right.
who was a Jedi that he was like into.
So I'm sure it's definitely not going to be relevant at all in any way, shape, or form moving forward in this series. However, the name Kendalina is probably the least creative name I've ever heard of in my life for female version of Ken, but whatever, I guess. um,
Sure.
hilarious. I just love it. So Kendalina, I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind
Keep
from
this whole weird Triclops scene in the back of your mind.
love that. And then finally, chapter 8, another Duros, except this time their name is Dustangle.
Yep.
So now we have
All of the
Dustini,
Duros have dust in
Dustangle.
front of their name. It's really weird.
Fine, whatever. Dustangle, I guess, is here. And then there's a weird bit where they're getting the artifacts out of the cave or whatever, and basically Han picks up an engagement ring, and
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
the guy's like, oh yeah, this is a Corellian fucking ring from a Corellian
Okay,
hero
so
or some shit.
so I should mention at the end of the last book, Han was like, damn, maybe I should marry Leia. They land on Mount Yoda and immediately are fighting constantly. And
Right.
at the beginning of this book, he's like, well, fuck that, I guess. I don't know why I would want to
Yeah.
marry
Why
her.
would I get
And then he
married?
gets
Yeah.
handed this ring and he's like, maybe I'll give it to Leia.
Okay.
This is not as stupid as the way that they actually get engaged. Because spoilers for the bit where we talk about the canonness of this, the actual way that it happens in Courtship of Princess Leia, where it happens and it sticks, is stupider than this.
Okay.
I, you can listen to Hope Mullinex over at J Guys and Jedi rant for 45 minutes in her kitchen about Courtship of Princess Leia. Go check out that episode if you're curious. But yeah, Courtship of Princess Leia was a series of decisions that were made where the author was a musical theater fan who was referencing a particular musical.
Nice.
He picked a very weird musical to make a giant reference to. Now I'm going to leave it at that because one day I might do an episode on this.
Well, that's all I really have for this book. Other than I randomly made a note, telekinesis third eye ray.
Oh yeah, there's a bit where Triclops he says, "I'm a pacifist, but you have forced me to break that vow," and then he zaps a dude with an eye beam ray. So you remember all the way back in the first book where there was a whole big deal about the Emperor's son needs to have inherited some of the Emperor's power.
Right.
And the reason that Trioculus had the zappy things in his fingers were to make people think he inherited the Emperor's power.
Right.
Triclops can actually zap people with his third eye.
Got it.
Yeah. They also mention, I'm just going to bring up a thing that may or may not come up, but I do want to mention one thing that this series does actually pretty well is they will mention something offhand that will become relevant later.
Okay.
So they do mention something called Project Decoy is something that is being worked on by the Alliance somewhere in this. We don't know what Project Decoy is, but we know that there's something called Project Decoy being worked at on Mount Yoda.
Loves.
Important to keep in mind. Yeah, and then they all fuck off back to Mount Yoda.
Great. And they're like, just by the way, also, I'm the Emperor's son. I'm not evil. I actually hated my dad. Great.
Which, I mean, if your dad is Chief Palpatine.
Sure, but yeah.
Well, I guess he's just Palpatine because
are we going to believe this guy? Like, we just brought him to the Rebel Alliance and I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, they bring him to the fucking Rebel Alliance headquarters and they're like, you do know that we are going to have to, keep you contained because...
Right. They're like, Mon Mothma's going to have to talk to you because there's no way we're going to trust you.
Mon Mothma is going to lock you in a room somewhere. And he's like, yeah, that seems legit.
He's like, that's fair.
That seems completely reasonable.
He's like, I agree with you guys, actually. That's fine.
I'm like, you're fucking lucky Garmbel Iblis isn't here. You're lucky he has fucked off with the Katana fleet because he would not put up with this for 10 fucking seconds. Bradley has no idea what I'm talking about, but my Legends girlies will get it. Bradley's just blinking at me randomly because he doesn't know what any of these names are that I'm throwing out there.
Right, and neither does half of America. Actually,
and
more than half.
Read the Thrawn trilogy and you'll learn who half these names were that I just threw out there.
Do you have any final thoughts on these two fun novels that we just finished talking about?
No, I keep hilariously flashing back to when you told me, make sure you read the first three. I don't know if we're going to be able to talk about them for an entire episode length.
Yeah.
And now we're over an hour.
Split it into three because
we're over an hour. Talking about just two of these books. And I know there was stuff that I know that happens later in the series because I own the first two books and I've read the other four, but I only read the other four once or twice. So I vaguely remember where the plot is going.
Right.
But I didn't remember exactly in what order the plot happens and where certain things come into play and are revealed. And so I've been waiting for one. This is my final thought.
Okay.
If you have read this series before, you know what I'm holding back that I desperately want to talk about, but can't. You know, and I appreciate you feeling my pain. And when we get to it, it will all be worth it. That's my final thought is I'm just sitting here watching Bradley experience the batshit plot of these books. Bradley, what are your final thoughts on Zorba the Hutt's Revenge, aka Zorba the Hutt Does Nothing Wrong, and Mission from Mount Yoda, featuring Ken?
I love the first one. I think Zorba the Hutt's Revenge is actually a good. It's an interesting plot, actually. I feel like it's almost if you take out the trioculus of it all, like if he's not even involved in any way, shape, or form, theoretically, this could have made an interesting like follow-up to Return of the Jedi. Like, I feel like this would have been an interest. I don't know how it would have worked as like a movie, but I feel like this could have been theoretically the plot, and then I would have been like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Like, and it's basically the movie is like we have to kill Leia because she killed Jabba. Like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I want to see that. I feel like it's interesting.
Weirdly, a lot of Legends doesn't deal with that. Canon
Yeah,
actually kind of deals with the Hutt Slayer of it all a little bit more.
yeah. But I
Mission from
think,
Mount Yoda.
oh yeah, Mission from Mount Yoda is fine, I guess. I honestly, I genuinely don't really understand the point of this one. This one's kind of like we just had to get Triclops into the story somehow and make him a better, bigger part of it. I think that's really all this was. And I don't love how we had to like finagle Ken into the storyline. Like we could have just from the beginning been like, okay, hey guys, I have a bit of information I need to tell you, and I'm gonna come
Oh,
along for the mission.
fuck. Yeah, I completely forgot to bring up again that when the reason Ken has to come along on the mission is because that information he was told by DJ that he's been holding for the entirety of Zorba the Hutt's Revenge, he just fucking blurts it out. He just literally says, "Hey guys, I'm so sorry, but I've actually known about this for 2 books,
Right.
and DJ told me not to tell you, but I am telling you all this information now about Triclops." So that's how the rebellion finds out about Triclops. Is Ken
Love.
just fucking blurts it out because he's like, well, I guess it's relevant now.
So next week.
Next week, we are finishing out this series. It was
Good.
only 6 books. There were some ideas maybe for 3 more afterwards, but
I don't see how. This
that
is
did
crazy.
not come to fruition. What are the titles of the 2 books we're talking about next week, Bradley?
Queen of the Empire and Prophets of the Dark Side.
Yep, we're going to round this whole series out.
Love that.
And then we're going to take a week off so I can do Legacy Expo. Pluggables. You can find a bunch of shows that Bradley has worked on places like Bravo and Peacock and streaming services. Just fucking Google it. It'll tell you. Please watch them if you like reality TV. It keeps Bradley employed. Shows like Married to Medicine, The Circle, Queen's Court, King's Court, Temptation Island. You can find me on the Star Wars TTRPG podcast For Light and Dice. New episodes are slowly but surely coming out. They're fucking hilarious. Go check them out. You can also find books that I write. Those are called Beach House Studios. 3 books are out. 4th one is coming very, very soon. Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, and you can request it through your library. I also have mentioned before I'm involved in Legacy Expo, a Star Wars fan-run expanded universe event that is out in Burbank, California, September 13th and 14th. Tickets are available now. They will be available at the door. Cantina night tickets have reopened at time of recording this. They are still available. May not be by the time they come out, but if you want to join our Cantina night, those are currently open at time of recording. Maybe not when you're hearing my, but check out Legacy Expo. Go to legacyexpo.org for tickets and more information. Just run the social so we can get out of here. Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze. Did Charles fuck something up? Email us at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com and let us know. You can follow us on BlueSky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post full episodes of this podcast. If you like the podcast, you can also rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gaze. Borsk Phalia wouldn't put up with this shit. No, I know that Borsk Phalia is not involved in this in any way thus far because I hate that slimy little motherfucker with every fiber of my being. That man sucks so hard. He would hate this and he would be right to hate this. This would be one of those unfortunate cases where Borsk Phalia has a point.